the Sunday of the triumphal entry. I'm going to look a bit at that story, and probably next week, by the grace of God, we will look into Easter properly. Let me use this opportunity on behalf of my family and Abiding Word Ministries to wish everybody a happy Easter, happy Good Friday, a happy resurrection. The truth of that resurrection should be birthed in our hearts. The principles of it should be that when something thinks it can put you down, at least 3 days you will bounce back again. And the resurrection is a reality. And as I have said before, nowhere on this earth, nowhere in the universe, nowhere in the world is Jesus Christ referred to as the late Jesus Christ, or as if he's past. We always talk about him in the present tense, because not only did he die, he resurrected by the power of God as was promised, and he's alive. And his transforming power is in millions of lives and hearts that open themselves to him, especially in finding purpose. And that's the joy of Easter. Of course, on a lower level, in the Gambia, we have this great traditional drink we call the nanburu. Nanburu, if you want to direct transliterate, it means drink bread. It's a baobab meal with juice, which is great, fantastic. It's white, it's brown, it's sweet, it's smooth. There are all kinds and all shapes that crisscross the country this time. And I know Gambians abroad find a way of doing it. They can get baobab from anywhere. They just enjoy the karao and everything that we do. We at Abiding Word Ministries, we start our Easter conference tomorrow, Wednesday. Our theme is Push, Press, and Advance. And I invite you from Wednesday at 6:30, Thursday at 6:30, then Friday we'll have a 2-hour non-stop praise night to the glory of God. You can join me. I'll be on the keyboards from 7 to 9 non-stop, just praising the goodness of God, and in particular the goodness of Jesus Christ, because the death on Good Friday was not a loss. The sting of death was removed. The pain from the grenade was moved, and the victory is what we will celebrate on Friday night from 7 to 9, just a non-stop praising God. No time to announce this person, that person, welcome this person, just praising God. Saturday we have a movie night. It's an important movie that you might want to watch. It's called God's Not Dead. It's a very good movie. To start again at 7. And of course, Sunday morning we have our resurrection praise celebration, Easter service. Join us if you can at 9 o'clock in the morning. We wish you all a happy Easter. I hope you will taste the nanburu, especially if you're a non-Gambian. There's just somehow you have to taste it. If not, come to Abiding Word. You'll taste it on Good Friday. God bless us all, and happy Easter to His Excellency the President, the First Lady, everybody in government, and to the whole nation. Happy Easter. I want to read this evening from Luke's Gospel. You know, there are 4 Gospels. If you're not familiar with the Bible, there is a Gospel according to Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. These are names of 4 disciples amongst others that Jesus Christ had. One of them was even a physician, a doctor. His name was Luke. Matthew was a tax collector. There were many, many disciples. But we want to look at Luke's account from Luke chapter 19. And if you want to follow this story, you have it in Matthew 21, you have it in Mark chapter 11, and you have it in John chapter 12, and here in Luke chapter 19. And there are various angles that each person brought their own lens view from that gives us the big, great picture. Why I'm picking on Luke is that there are some key things I want to share, again, which will be customized and made relevant and contextualized to our lives. And I believe there is an awesome lesson we can all learn as Jesus rode into Jerusalem and all the events that preceded his going to the cross in this Holy Week. So I'm going to read from Luke's Gospel, chapter 19, and I'm going to start from verse 28, and I'll read through to, let's say, 40. It says, when Jesus Christ had spoken about the things he was speaking prior to this, he went on ahead, going up to Jerusalem. And it came to pass when he drew near to 2 cities or villages One is called Bethphage, and the other is called Bethany. Bethany is where Lazarus lived, where he had raised him from the dead. He came to the place called the Mount of Olives. So it was a mountainous setting. And there he sent 2 of his disciples and said to them, "Go into the village opposite us. You will find as you enter into the village a young donkey, a baby donkey, a colt. You'll find him tied, and it's going to be a colt on which nobody has ever sat." So Jesus' instructions and directions were quite specific. Go opposite us into the village that you're going to see, and when you get into that village, at the entrance of the village, you get that from the Gospel of John in chapter 12, it says at the entrance, just by the street, you're going to find this donkey. It's a young donkey. It's a tied donkey. It's not left loose, and nobody has ever ridden this donkey. Nobody has sat on it. It has done no errand, no job. Loose it and bring it here. And if anyone asks you, "Why are you loosing it?" this is what you shall say to them: "Because the Lord has need of it." Not just the prophet needs it, or one of the prophets, or a good man, but the Lord. The Lord, in Hebrew, Adonai. The Lord, in Wolof we'll say Borombi. The owner needs it. And we're not just talking about the earthly owner. In Mandinka we say Mario, the owner himself has need of it. So the 2 disciples who were sent went their way, and they found it just as Jesus had said to them. And as they were loosing the colt, the owners of the colt reacted, and they said to these 2 disciples, "Why are you loosing the colt?" In verse 34, they said to them, "Because the Lord has need of him." And at that answer, they allowed them, and these 2 disciples brought the donkey to Jesus. And the people threw their own clothes on this colt, and they set Jesus on him. So the first person to ever ride on that donkey was now Jesus Christ. And as he went, many people spread their clothes on the road. Then as he was now drawing near to the descent of the Mount of Olives, coming down, the whole multitude of the disciples began to rejoice and praise God with a loud voice for all the mighty works that they had seen Jesus Christ do. And this is what they said in verse 38. "Blessed," that's like a praise, "blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord. Peace in heaven, glory in the highest." Verse 39 says, "And some of the Pharisees called to Jesus from the crowd and said, 'Teacher,'" they called him teacher, rabbi, master, "rebuke your disciples, tell them to stop." But Jesus responded, answered to them and said, "I tell you that if these people should keep silent, even the stones will immediately cry out and replace them in praise." So this is the story of what is called the triumphal entry, which is the Sunday we call Palm Sunday. So in basic summary, Jesus Christ sends 2 of his disciples over to the village against where they were from the Mountain of Olives, and tells them exactly what donkey they should look for, gives them directions and instructions that they cannot miss. They find it as Jesus said. They bring the donkey to Jesus. Jesus is set upon this donkey, and they start riding down into Jerusalem. And people throw their clothes, they cut palm branches and palms from trees, and they are shouting, "Hosanna, Hosanna," which means save us. Blessed is the King that comes in the name of the Lord. And then the Pharisees, the religious people, get upset, and they are telling Jesus, "Tell them to stop, tell them to stop." And Jesus Christ says, "If I tell them to stop, even the stones will rise up and replace them in singing the praises of God." Now, there are just so many things that we can look at, but my focus really is on the donkey. For starters, the donkey has played 2 main roles in the life of Jesus Christ. At his birth, when the angel Gabriel visited Joseph and said, arise and take this child into Egypt, because Herod wants to kill the child. The donkey was there at the birth and at the death. Now, if anybody told you you were a donkey, please know that they are not complimenting you. They are not complimenting you. Nobody goes around saying that, man, you are so smart, you are so brilliant, you are such a donkey. If anybody tells you that, they're really basically saying that you are stupid, you are daft, you are slow, you are lethargic, you do not take initiative, you are a beast of burden. Anything goes on you, you take anything and you take everything, and people pile anything on you. You have no opinion, you have no style, you have no desire, you are just a donkey. Now, a colt is the offspring of a donkey. There's a difference between a donkey and a horse. It's like the difference between sheep and goat. You know, the donkey and the horse belong to the same family. The sheep and the goats belong to the same family. But, you know, the goats kind of have their own attitude. They're stubborn. They you know, if you are trying to drive in your car and for some reason a goat is crossing the road, which should not happen, the goats would move. The sheep, you're going to have to honk, pom, and they will hardly move, you know. The horse, too, is like, has a mind of its own, would do its own thing, but the donkey tends not to just really know what to do. I'm intrigued that Jesus Christ sent two of his disciples down a valley, up again into a village, to look for this donkey. And there are interesting things. It's a young donkey. It was tied. That means that its ambit of movement had been controlled by its owners. You know how far you can go. You know how much you can eat. You know how much salary you get. You are within a bracket, a boundary that you cannot break forth from, because somebody, by tying this donkey, has determined and predetermined and concluded that this is where this donkey is going to end for the rest of its life, or until I, the owner, chooses to change its lot. So the donkey is a young donkey. It's not like other donkeys, no opportunity. It's tied, and of course, Jesus Christ says, no one has sat upon this donkey. So for lack of a better phrase, it's a virgin donkey. It has no experience. It's not been used. It's not been tainted. It's unspoiled. It's chaste. It's virgin. You know, sometimes when you want to employ people, you're looking for people with experience. You know, you want to see their CV. You just don't want somebody fresh from the ivory tower. They have no experience. You say, well, they've done teaching practice. They've done industrial attachment. Well, but it's a virgin. I want somebody with experience. So if I put these three things together, the youth of the donkey, the fact that it was tied, it had no liberty of its own, and the fact that nobody had used it before, I kind of paint the picture that you could write the story of this donkey. He wouldn't go far. She wouldn't go far. You wouldn't go far. I wouldn't go far, because you are inexperienced. So what do you bring to the table? You have no experience. What's your exposure? You've just been tied within a circumference of 5 meters, a diameter of 10 meters. You are local. You haven't had global experience. And sometimes our lives are like that, friends. When you look at your life, you wonder, as we say in West African English, when will my turn come? Every other donkey is having fun. Every donkey is coming back with testimony. Man, somebody rode on me. They gave me a tip. My feet have gone to places. I've seen ships. I've seen planes. I've seen hotels. I've been to nice green turf. I've been in king's palaces. I've been in the best of farms. What's your experience? Well, I'm just tied down here. I'm here in the morning. I'm here in the afternoon. And I'm here in the night. When it pleases my boss, he unties me and he takes me and he wakes me up in the morning. There's a noose around my neck. I'm used to this noose to the point that even if I am untied, I will not go further, because I have been dominated in my mind to stay within one place. Many people can relate to that. Sometimes it's favoritism in a family. 2 children above 2 children, 3 above 1. Sometimes it's opportunity by religion, by tribe, by gender, by complexion of skin. Sometimes it's by height. It's a factor of who is in power, which gender, which political affiliation, which religion, which tribe, your uncle. And you find that though everybody is born with potential and everybody has the seed of greatness in them, somebody has tied you. Somebody says you're young. Somebody says you have no experience. Nobody had ridden on this donkey before. It's enough for you to be depressed. It's enough for you to give up in life. It's enough for you to resign. This is on my lot. I know, even if you don't tie me, just wake me up in the morning. I will go to that spot, graze there, remain there. All the stories I hear will be from the passers-by in that locale. And in the evening, don't even lose me, I will come back. There is a book in the Bible. It's the second to last book in the Old Testament. The Old Testament of the Bible has 39 books. The New Testament has 27. So there are 66 canonized. Now, the 38th book in the Old Testament is the book called Zechariah. And the 9th chapter and the 9th verse. So Zechariah chapter 9 verse 9 contains an interesting verse which was a prophecy. The prophecy was to Jerusalem that rejoice, Jerusalem, because your king is coming. He's coming riding on a donkey, riding on a colt, humble and lowly. It's almost like an oxymoron. Most kings, you see them miles before you see them, because it's like there's fanfare, there's protocol, there's convoy, there's detail, there's the closing of the airspace, there's a blocking of all the phone lines, there's no movement here, no movement there, the highways are blocked. You get to know the sweep has gone, the motorcades, the before and the after. But this king was coming lowly and humble, riding a colt. What that means, ladies and gentlemen, is that this young donkey had been spoken about prophetically even before the donkey was birthed. You say, Pastor Forbes, what's your point? My point is that where you are feeling tired, where you are feeling unused, nobody has ridden on you, you have nothing to add to your CV. I've been to this international conference, I've been to that regional conference, I've been to this workshop, I have my per diem to show for it, I have a badge, I have a certificate of attendance and participation, and you are tired and nobody has given you an opportunity in that your so-called interregnum period of life. Do you know you could be part of a prophecy? Do you know that your life could be part of something great? That 1 minute you are unknown, you are tired, you are inexperienced, but depending on who calls for you, Jesus Christ calls for you, my friend. And he says, go and bring them, loose them and bring them to me. And if anybody asks you, those who think they are the owners, those who set the boundaries of your life and your salary and how far you can explode in your potential and how far you can bring in your income and what you can do and when you must retire, when they say, no, don't take this person away, tell them the Lord has need of him. And so where you are, keep yourself. It may be that somebody is dominating you, or you may feel so, you feel tired, you feel underutilized, there's so much more you can do, but your job description is so small, there are so many people, you can tell that there are more people than this company needs, and if only they let you take the steering wheel of this particular department, you will drive it and bring the returns, but you are hemmed in, you are boxed in, you are tied down, and nobody seems to realize your skill, your ability, your training, your exposure, your abilities and everything. Hold on. Because one call changed that donkey from obscurity to global celebration. One call changed that donkey's life. You know, I've been thinking in this our day, the donkey was brought to Jesus, and I'm so glad that those who took the donkey, they didn't play games and say, I'll ride on him for 5 minutes, ride on him, you ride on him, because there are people who do that and then they desecrate other people's lives and then they destroy, because the person that needs to ride upon the donkey is Jesus. The person that needs your life is Jesus. The person that needs my life is the King. He can turn us around. And then the donkey went and was taken to Jesus. The donkey had no experience, had not been trained on how to carry people. And of course, we are talking about a mountain and a valley situation. So we are talking about height, breathing, But when Jesus is in your life, all those things are sorted out. And this donkey that seemingly was a no donkey, nobody known tied, suddenly found himself walking on good material. He had Jesus on him, and people were waving Hosanna. He knew it was not to him. But the donkey is like the king's chamberlain, is like the cupbearer, is like the aide de camp, the ADC. Wherever the prime minister is, he or she is going to be there. Wherever the president is, he is going to be there. They are not the president, but they are going to be there. You cannot take a photograph without seeing them. And so this donkey carried the Lord Jesus. I've wondered, in today's world, Jesus Christ only needed that donkey for maybe, who knows, maybe an hour, maybe 30 minutes. But you know something? If that donkey was put on the market today, after having been ridden by Jesus Christ, your guess is as good as mine. Saudi princes from Dubai, Qatar, Nigerian magnates, American businessmen, Bill Gates, they will want to buy. Dangote would want to stake on it. And this seeming donkey that was tied, young, inexperienced, his worth, his value would have skyrocketed. And that is what Jesus Christ does to our lives. When you bring your life to him and he rides on you, and he doesn't abuse you, because he says in the Gospel of Matthew chapter 11 that my yoke is easy and my burden is light, and you will find rest for your soul. Jesus Christ changed the story of that donkey. And let me say one more thing before my time ends up. Most times people can find themselves in this situation, and I'm sure you can relate to it. A lot of people make the mistake of untying themselves and taking themselves. No. Let God discover you. Let people discover you. One of my favorite scriptures in the book of Proverbs goes like this: a person's gift makes room for them. Don't go around sending your CV, sending your business card. And I know it's like, people do that. They go to conferences and everybody's giving. That's like shopping. You are throwing 20,000 hoping that maybe you will get 3. But no, when Jesus comes to you, it's all different. And he changed the story of the donkey forever. You can imagine the owners saying that, we didn't know this is what we had. And may that be your story this Easter weekend. I will continue next week by the grace of God. But until we come your way, by the grace of God, next Tuesday, happy Easter. Enjoy the Namburi, but beat that donkey that carries Jesus. And join me tomorrow at Abiding Word, 6:30 in the evening, Thursday 6:30, Friday 7, Saturday 7, Sunday morning at 9. It promises to be an unforgettable time so that we all push, press, and advance. Have a good evening. God bless us all, and good night.